So as you have seen, the Pokemon names are being displayed one after another, each one on a line. What we want to do is we want to display them inside a grid. So we want to make a new grid, and we can do this using the grid component from Material UI core library. So we can return a grid. So before we do the map, outside the map function, we want to wrap it inside the grid. So right above the Pokemon data map, we want to do grid. So let's cut out this Pokemon data for now. And now, if Pokemon data exists, so if we have the Pokemon data set, then we want to show a grid. So we can do this right over here now. We can do grid, and we need to import it automatically import it for us from Material UI core library. If it doesn't, then you should import it yourself. So now we want to set the container property as well. So what this container property does, it will allow us to have elements one after each other. If we don't have the container property, then each item will take up the entire width of the screen. So after we do the container, we also want to do spacing, because when we have a grid, we have items one next to each other, so we want to have some spacing between it. And now, just to show this grid, we want to return the Pokemon name. So we're going to map around the Pokemons now, just like what we've done before. Pokemon data.map, and then the map function would give us a Pokemon as it iterates over all the Pokemon data, and it gives us a Pokemon. So it gives us Pokemon by Pokemon. And now we can return this Pokemon. We can return Pokemon.name. We can do it inside H1. So make sure to wrap it in H1 as well, just for testing anyway. So we have spacing is equal to 2, and this gives it some padding. What we want to do as well, we want to return some margin between the H1 elements so that they're not stuck together. So we'll just do some style. So this is just a temporary design. We're going to remove this. I'm just doing this so I can illustrate to you that we can add those Pokemons in a grid. So for this H1, we also want to give it some margin left so that it's not stuck to the elements that is right next to it. So as you can see now, we have each Pokemon being shown inside the grid. We want to remove this temporary component, but before we do that, we want to actually make the Pokemon card component so we can use it inside our grid. So let's head over to components folder, and we want to make a new file, and the file that we're going to make is pokemoncard.js. Now this is going to be a functional component, and now that we have made this functional component, we want to receive some props. The props that we're going to receive is basically the Pokemon. So now we want to get the Pokemon from props, and to do that we're just going to do const Pokemon from props. Well, we can't do this.props actually, because this is not a class component, so we're just going to do props, and we're going to receive the props from the actual functional components. And now that we have the Pokemon, inside this Pokemon we're going to have an ID and name. So we want to now import, so we're going to do const ID and name, and we're taking the ID and name from the Pokemon object. Now another property that we want to use is the image, and we will be also receiving it from props, not from Pokemon. Just to illustrate the props that we are passing in, I'm going to pass in them right now, and I can console.log them for you so you can understand what's going on exactly. So right over here, I'm going to use this in Pokedex.js. If we go back to Pokedex.js, inside the Pokemon data map function, I'm going to return the Pokemon card. And it's not finished yet, I'm just showing it so I can illustrate to you how the props work. I mean, you probably know, but just for those who don't know, I want to repeat myself so I can get it so they can understand it properly. So for this Pokemon card, make sure you import it as well inside Pokedex. Our VS Code IDE automatically imported it for us. And in Pokemon card, we want to now give it the Pokemon. So we're just going to do Pokemon is equal to the Pokemon that we have from the map function. And if we go to Pokemon card again, we can see this Pokemon. We're taking it from props because we are passing the props. So all the props that we have assigned inside the Pokedex, they are being bundled, and they are being put together all in props, and we can get them out again using object destruction, just like we've done here. And we can console.log the Pokemon, and we can see it being shown. So we want to also pass in the image, and to do this we're going to do image, so passing in the prop, and we want to now we want to pass in the Pokemon object.url, and this stores the image, as I have explained before when we made the Pokemon object. The URL is made up from image API URL prefix and the actual index of that Pokemon, along with the page PNG extension. Now we should be good to go. We have the props sent over to Pokemon card, and now we can work on the component. So actually let's make a grid. Return a grid item over here, because we are using a grid container over there. We want to say grid item now, and for this grid we import it from material UI core library. Make sure you do that, and in the grid we want to pass in the item property, so it will be an item inside the grid container. And after we have done that, now we want to do the sizing of this grid item. So for extra small devices, we want it to take up 12 slots, and for small devices we want it to take 2 slots. So the thing is, it's just like in Bootstrap, if you know about it. The page is divided into 12 columns. So for extra small devices, we want to give it the full width, because the screen is already too small, so we give it the full 12 slots. And for other devices, we want to give it 2 slots for each Pokemon card. Now that we have done that, so now we want to make a card for the Pokemon, so that we show the Pokemon inside this card. So we're going to do a card element, and this card element is automatically imported for us from Material UI Core. Make sure to import it if you haven't. And inside this card, we want to do card media, so that we can show the image for the Pokemon. So we're just going to do card media capital M, and it should find it, and we can import it. Yes. Now that we have made the card media element, we want to assign the image property with our image. So we're just going to do image is equal to our image from props. So for this card media, we're not going to pass in anything inside it. Outside it, we're going to add another element as well, which is the card content. And this card content is going to be a wrapper for showing the name of the Pokemon. And so for this card content, inside it we're going to have typography, so we can display the Pokemon's name. And inside this typography, we want to show the Pokemon name, so we're just going to do Pokemon.name. Oh, actually we can just do .name, because we've already taken it from Pokemon over here. Now we should be good to go. We should be able to show the Pokemons right now. So if we were to refresh this, perfect. Just the images are not showing. Let's see what's the issue with that. So now we have to style it, because as you can see, if you don't give a style to an image, it will not show. Now we want to style everything as well. So let's use the make style function from Material UI Core. So outside this functional component, right above it, we want to now declare a usestyles variable. So we're going to do const usestyles variable, and this usestyles variable is going to depend on a makestyles function. And the makestyles function, we can import it from Material UI Core, which it automatically imported for us. And this makestyle function is going to give us an arrow function, and the arrow function is going to have the theme of this web application. Now inside it, now we want to return an object. So just like I have done, make sure to do that. Now we're going to do card media. So first we want to style the image, so I can show you the image. That the image works. And for this card media, we want to do, actually let's do the first letter C capital. No, we should do small letter C. And for this card media, we're just going to give it some margin auto, so that it's centered, because then the margin is going to be automatic. and the width we want it to be 130 pixels, and the height as well 130 pixels, so it's going to show up in a square aspect ratio. So now that we have done that, now let's go ahead and now apply this card media style. So we're going to use class name, and we're going to do card. So now what we need to do, we need to connect the classes to this functional component. So right above the props, we're going to do const classes. Const classes. Sorry, it's not going to be a normal variable, not destructuring. So const classes, and it's going to be using the usestyles functional, the usestyles function, and that should return all the classes. It should make the classes and return it inside classes. And now we can use these classes simply by doing classes.cardmedia or classes.whatever class name we want. So in this case, we want to do classes.cardmedia, sorry. And if we were to refresh it now, as you can see, the images are showing up very nicely. Now we need to style the other elements, such as the card and the card content as well, and also, and that should be it. So let's go ahead and style the card now. We want to give it a class name over here, and for the style we want to, we want to do cursor pointer. So when we put the mouse on top of it, we want the mouse to change from a hand to a pointer, so that we can show them that you can click on this. So just to show you this, so let's apply this style over here. Class name is equal to classes.card, and over here when we put our mouse on top of it, see, it should change. Sorry, it changes from a pointer, from a mouse arrow to an actual pointer. Okay. Now that we have done that, we also want to make the background color black. So let's set that to black. And the color, we want to make it white. So the color of the card, we want to make it white. And let's see how that looks now. As you can see, the around it is white, but the actual background color is black. Okay. So after that, we want to, when we hover over the Pokemon, we want the background color to change slightly, so it gives us that interactive feature. And to do this, we just have to do and hover, and then we can apply the background color when it's hovering. So we're going to do and then hover. Sorry, it's going to be a colon and then hover. So make sure to add and colon and then hover. And we're checking if the state is hovering on that item. And we want to apply the background color, and it's just going to be like a different shade of black. It's going to be sort of grey, so we're just going to do RGB, and then it's just going to put 90, 90, 90. And let's see how that looks. So if we refresh, and now when we hover over it, as you can see, it changes to a light grey. Perfect. Next, we want to style the card content. So this card content is wrapping around the name, and we want it to be, let's see, what should we do for it? We want it just to be centered. So we're just going to do class name, and then we're going to use classes.card content, and let's go ahead and implement this style over here. And for this card content, we just want to do text align center. And now if we refresh, we can see that the text, the name of the Pokemon, is aligned center. Perfect.